Hello, Yakri here, and today I'd like to talk about Wrath of Gold. It's this new card that was recently released for, previewed for Artifact, and I think this is the first single card that I've seen that's been really obviously worth talking about in terms of its interactions, out of what we've seen revealed so far. And at least outside of the context of specific meta or specific combos are fairly worth talking about. The combo pieces involved, I'd say. But anyway, pretty much immediately I saw some comments on the Discord for the subreddit from people who just weren't really getting the use case of this card. There were a decent number on Reddit as well. And I'm going to go so far as saying, I'm not going to go so far as saying this is an amazing card. It's not an amazing card. It's probably decent in my opinion. Or if not decent, let's say it potentially has a niche use. That's perhaps a better way to put it. But a lot of people aren't seeing how that could be the case, so I thought I'd explain it. Let's talk about the numbers on this card, right? So this card deals 4 damage per gold spent. Now, if you think about this, if you have a fairly aggressive deck setup, where, or at least in terms of your hero lineup, like maybe you run Phantom Assassin and you run some red hero, or either Phantom Assassin and some other black hero and a blue hero, or like 2 red heroes and a blue hero, something like that. And it could even be that this is a control deck primarily composed of blue heroes, but of course if you were going blue-black or blue-red, you probably want to put your 2 non-blue heroes in your starting lineup. So you could realistically maybe kill an enemy hero round 1 if you're fairly lucky, and you'll probably kill a creep as well. And at this point, if your blue hero is in the 3rd lane, you could, hypothetically, not that this is actually really where you'd want to use the card, but you could drop this card and deal 24 damage. Now the thing is, if your blue hero is has under 8 HP or under, and the enemy's hero has 8 HP or under, and you drop this card, it'll kill everything in the lane. Enemy's hero, enemy's creeps, your hero, everything dies. And this is kind of like one of the more less good uses of this card, but I think it shows something useful if you think about this, right? Which is that it doesn't have to be random. If you're killing everything in the lane, it is not random. So that's something I feel like you should keep in mind with this card. But let's talk about perhaps a more relevant scenario, right? Which is, say you're playing against a wide deck. Your opponent has a deck that gets a lot of creeps out on the board, right? And you have fallen heavily behind in some lane, and it's only on mana turn 4 or 5, which would be rounds, 2 or 3. Yeah, if we count the very first turn of the game, we don't get a mana increase as a round. So in this instance, let's say you have 8 gold, and you have 1 hero possibly already damaged in the lane where they have a lot of creeps. You could play this card, and if they have 6 creeps or something to your 1 hero, they are going to be, since all options are equally likely, getting hit at a 6-to-1 ratio until some of their stuff dies. And if you have that many instances of damage, probably your hero is going to eat it eventually. But if your hero's already low on HP, if they're a blue hero, they're probably going to take 1, maybe 2 hits, and then you're going to have 6 instances or so of 4 damage going to the rest of your opponent's board. It's still not amazing, but if it's the kind of situation where not clearing that board this round is going to lose you the game, whereas if you do clear the board this round, next round maybe you have a hero coming back that you can put in that lane, and now that lane's going to have only 1 hero, or a hero and a creep left in it, or maybe just a creep left in it, depending on how much gold you had, or maybe nothing in it. This can put you back on equal footing in a lane that your opponent invested a lot of resources into. Possibly by ditching your gold advantage, at least, you can put yourself in a situation where you gain a lot of card advantage from this, as well as stabilizing a lane, which could be very valuable for a control deck. So I think there's a potential for this scenario where you're trying to run a control deck. I don't know if this is actually good enough that this could be a competitive deck, but hypothetically, you're trying to run a control deck, and wide token decks really common in the meta, and you know that this situation could pop up where on turn round 2 or 3, mana turn 4 or 5, you could be about to lose the game or getting dangerously close to losing the game if you don't get a lane under control immediately. Or perhaps it could be a situation where, often you won't be able to finagle a hero into the right lane at the right turn to immediately cast Annihilation if you don't have this earlier card available. So potentially you can get a lot of value out of this card this way, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much you have to invest in not losing if you successfully not lose and then can go on to win other lanes, right? So that's pretty much the use case for this card. It's faster than Annihilation and not as good. Definitely not as good. But I would use it in a similar way, where it's a board clear, where if you're very far down on a lane, you should benefit from this card. And in fact, if you have enough gold and there are enough enemy creeps and units, you could well come out gold neutral or gold ahead, depending on the HP of their heroes, right? Because if you spend like 8 gold and you kill 5 creeps and an enemy hero, you're going to get back from that 10 gold. That's a profit, actually. And that's potentially possible. Not necessarily super likely, but if you have one hero that's at 1 hit left and their hero isn't at full HP, you could pull that off in a situation where they have 5 creeps and a hero. You kill it all. Anyway, so Annihilation is of course better, but it's only better if you can actually get to 6 mana and then cast it in the lane you need to cast it in. And this card might allow you the ability to do a similar effect on round 2 or 3 instead of on round 4, right? I think round 4 is mana turn 6. Maybe I did that wrong, but you get the point. Yeah. So the crux of these examples is this spell can have a really high impact relatively earlier on than some other spells. And so even if it's not as good as them, if you can't cast those spells, they aren't any good to you at all, right? So it can allow you to do something that spells like Annihilation can't. So that's all for now. Thank you all for watching, and if you want to see some other cards like this that you think would be worth exploring, let me know in the comments. Yeah, if you like this content, you want to see more like it, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Yakri out.